Hello, horror lovers. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, I'm taking you on a spine-tingling journey through 10 horror films guaranteed to chill you to the bone. We'll dive into what works, what doesn't, and whether each film is worth your time, if you dare. Let's begin. 1. Haunt, 2019. On Halloween, a group of friends enters an extreme, haunted house for thrills, but quickly realize some nightmares are all too real. The haunted house setup delivers solid jump scares and tense atmosphere. The premise taps directly into fear of the unknown. The found footage/haunted house tropes are fairly familiar, so some scares feel predictable rather than fresh. Worth a watch if you enjoy haunted house horror, but not a game changer. 8. A South African Horror Story, 2019. A soul collector, bound by fate after trading his daughter's soul, seeks atonement, dragging family and fate into darkness. Fresh perspective. African horror is underrepresented, and this film's folklore-tinged horror gives it a unique voice. Because this film may be lesser known internationally, pacing or production values may feel uneven, which can undercut the tension at times. Worth watching, especially for viewers curious about horror beyond mainstream Hollywood. 3. Haunted Asylum, 2018. A horror web series crew live streams inside a notorious abandoned psychiatric hospital, only to discover the legends are horrifyingly real. The found footage plus haunted asylum blend creates genuine dread. Cinematography and setting make the asylum feel ominous, oppressive, and haunted. As with many found footage films, familiarity with the trope can dull some of the shock value. Worth watching, especially for fans of atmospheric, location-based horror. 4. The Babadook, 2014. A troubled mother and her son are haunted by a terrifying bookish entity, but the real horror may lie within grief, guilt, and suppressed trauma. Masterfully tight atmosphere and psychological horror, it relies on dread and emotion over cheap jump scares, acting and direction elevated. Because it's more slow burn and psychological, those expecting gore or constant frights may find it too subdued. Definitively worth watching, a modern horror classic blending heart and horror. 5. Psycho, 1960. A secretary on the run checks into a secluded motel, but behind a friendly facade lies a darkness that turns her escape into a nightmare. A timeless horror pioneer, the direction, suspense, and shocking scene, you know the one, still hold up. The film influenced decades of horror that followed. To modern viewers, some pacing may feel slow, and effects minimal compared to contemporary horror. Absolutely worth watching. Horror history and still chilling after all these years. 6. A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. Teenagers are stalked in their dreams, but a killer in your nightmares might be deadlier than any real-world threat. The film's dream horror concept pushes boundaries, combining slasher terror with surreal nightmare logic. Iconic villain and cultural impact make it unforgettable. As with many slasher films, some character development may be thin, and some sequences lean on cliches of the genre. Worth watching, especially if you appreciate slasher horror and creative scares. 7. A Quiet Place, 2018. In a world where monsters hunt by sound, a family struggles to survive in deadly silence. One wrong sound and terror strikes. Terrifyingly original use of silence and sound, or lack thereof. Tension is built masterfully, with emotional stakes and strong performances making the horror hit deeper. Those expecting traditional monster horror or gore may find it too restrained or slow burn. Worth watching, clever, emotionally resonant horror with real tension. 8. Poltergeist, 1982. A suburban family's home becomes haunted by malevolent spirits, and what starts as strange events spirals into a fight for survival. Classic supernatural horror expertly balances psychological dread and spooky spectacle. Its special effects and ghostly atmosphere remain effective decades later. Some horror tropes, haunted house, ghost children, possessions, may feel familiar to modern audiences. Verdict: worth watching, a horror classic that helped define genre. 9. The Conjuring, 2013. Paranormal investigators help a family terrorized by a dark presence in their new farmhouse, confronting more than just ghosts. Expertly paced scares, strong atmosphere, and believable characters make the supernatural horror feel grounded and terrifying. Some jumps and scares follow familiar haunted house horror formulas, which may feel predictable to seasoned fans. Worth watching if you enjoy classic haunted house horror with style and tension. 10. The Substance, 2024. As listed on the horror catalog, film deals with body horror and psychological dread. Being a newer horror entry, it offers fresh scares, perhaps reflecting modern fears and sensibilities. New releases sometimes haven't aged yet. Tone or cohesion may feel rough around the edges. Worth trying. Worth a spot on any horror watch list for curiosity and novelty. And that's 10 horror films, from timeless classics to fresh entries, sure to leave you sleeping with the lights on. If you enjoyed this creepy roundup, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next horror deep dive. Until then, stay haunted.